Hey there, lovely people, and welcome to Messages from the Heart, where we can take some time out from the constant external noise and just take a moment to focus inward and listen to the quiet and ever-present voice of our heart. So it's been a very strange day in Adelaide here today. It was storms and torrential downpours this morning, but now, a short time ago, the sun came out. It was quite warm, so I went for a beach walk. And now it seems to have gotten cloudy again, but it's actually quite warm still. But it's still very gorgeous and lovely and wonderful to be beachside, where I love to be most. So the message for today is forgiveness. So this is a thing that has been coming to mind over the past few days, and generally when that happens and it sort of doesn't go away, it's something that's important to share, and something that perhaps we need to be thinking about at this time. So as I was walking, I was thinking about this word forgiveness, and I thought it was a bit of a weird word, really, like forgive. It sounds like giving something in advance, you know, like foreboding, where you have a feeling in advance of something, or foretelling, where you're telling something. So it doesn't, the meaning that we know of forgiveness to be doesn't really fit with the word, but there you go. This English language does have a few peculiarities. And I was thinking, like, what is the word for that in Italian? And in Italian, it's perdonare. And perdonare is like to pardon. And that sat a lot better with me. To pardon, because I thought, okay, that sits a lot better. And what does to pardon actually mean? And what happens when we pardon someone or something? It means to me, so this is my take on it, and it may mean, this all may mean different things to you, to different people. It may mean different things, but perhaps there's a common thread for all of us. So to me, to pardon is more like you're coming from a merciful state of being, like to have mercy. And to have mercy, to me, is more like you need to be coming from some kind of compassionate state of being. And then compassion, you need to be coming from some kind of love state within you. So heart-centered state of being. So when I thought about it in those terms, it made better sense to me, and I think if we can understand it in those sorts of terms, it may make it easier to actually do the forgiving process, and to understand the forgiving process, to be able to do it and to understand why it's important for us to do. So I was thinking about what that actually meant for me then, this perdonare, this pardon, this compassion point of view. And when I thought about things that had happened in my life that were quite big, and that, you know, we see as being done to us, that were hurtful, that were traumatic, that were some even quite horrendous. And I think to myself, well, how do I know that I've forgiven? And for me, how I know is that when I think about that incident or that person or that time of my life, when I think about that and when I talk about it, it no longer holds a charge for me. Now, I think this holding of a charge is sort of like a continuum, because I think, like in the beginning, when we are in the hurt phase and all of that, if we can lessen that charge, but it's like, I don't think we can actually lessen it completely all at once. I think it's like an incremental thing, that the more we work on it, the more we choose to, the more we do what we need to do around it, the more compassion and love and pardoning, merciful state of being we come from, the more we move down that continuum of forgiveness, and so of the charge, the holding of the charge. So so when it no longer holds like a strong charge for me, So that what that means for me is I'm no longer feeling anxious about it. I'm no longer feeling angry about it. I no longer feel resentment towards that person or that situation or that time of my life. So all of those strong feelings, when I'm no longer feeling those, and I may feel a tiny little tweak here and there, but I know that I've come a long way with that. And so I know that I've come a long way with the forgiveness process, you know, with the pardoning process. And why is that important to do? Why do I think that we need to be curious about this and see where that sits with us in our life? I think a lot of us maybe need to hear that at this time, because it doesn't only mean in relation to people close to us, that things that were done to us. It can be like even like political stuff, governmental stuff, medical stuff. Like we could have been in some kind of a medical situation and you know, we weren't listened to, we weren't heard, the right thing wasn't done by us. It can be any situation. And why is this important for us to do, this pardoning and this coming from this compassion point of view? It's because when we're holding feelings of resentment, of anger, of bitterness, of hurt, of pain and suffering, when we're holding on to these feelings for years and years and years, it's very, very destructive to us personally. So the forgiveness is really about us. It's not actually about the other person. In the forgiveness that we do, it helps us and it helps the situation and the other person, but it's mainly for us. Our reason would be for us. Because if we're holding on to these resentments over years and we talk about it a lot and then we keep reliving the situation, so what happens is on every level of our being, and really importantly on a chemical level, all the hormones of stress are being continually released into our body. And these are all toxic to us. And really they promote a state of unwellness, you know, continuously. So it's like that we're drinking poison, we're drinking this toxicity, we're drinking in this poison, but we expect the other person to get sick. Where the other person may not even have a clue about what we're feeling or thinking, or even if they did anything to cause this within us. So that's a really important reason, I think, for us to think about it and where that sits with us in our life. And so it's for our own well-being, because if we go forward in our life without having gone through the forgiveness process, the pardoning and the compassion and the love aspect, we carry those feelings. First of all those feelings and that chemical stuff that's going on in our body, and the emotional stuff and the energetic stuff that's all going on within us, we live our life through that. So whatever our feelings and thoughts are, that is the vibration that we emit, whether we know that or not. That is what happens. But it's that vibration that we emit that affects other people in our life and our world. So, but not only that, all the things that we do are coloured and flavoured by those emotions, by those feelings, by that toxicity. So everything we do is tampered with, if you like, in a way, by this flavour of toxicity. So we're really cheating ourselves a lot. Having said all that, I understand that horrendous things happen to people, and it's easy to talk about, but definitely not easy to do. And one of the questions that would arise was, okay, well, how can we do this? How can we do this forgiveness? So again, just speaking for myself, I think we need to be willing to not carry this burden. So again, it's not about the other person. We need to be willing to not carry all this toxicity with us forever, for the rest of our life or anymore. We need to come to a point where we don't want this within us anymore. And a really good process, a place to do it would be in meditation, because we need to come from a place of love and a place of compassion and a place of pardoning, of being merciful. we need to engender those feelings within us, because we can't make it happen. We can't make it happen with our head, because our head will always tell us, they did this, how can I ever forgive them, it's unforgivable what they did, blah blah blah, and all of that. I'm not saying is not right or wrong, or and not true, or any of that. I'm not saying any of that, but it doesn't serve us to continue to think that way. So in order to come from this place of love and compassion and mercifulness and pardoning, we need to engender those feelings within us. And a really good way to do that is through meditation. But if you're not into meditation, you can be like walking in nature. Whatever enables you to find stillness within your mind and your heart, that will allow those feelings. And even just thinking about something that brings you joy, like maybe your puppy or your child or something that engenders feelings. So coming from, so having that feeling state within you, then you can, one thing that you can do is you can bring that person, that event, the situation, those people to mind, and maybe have them lined up in front of you in your mind's eye. And I guess I call it a simple process. It may not be simple straight away, may not be easy straight away, but if you practice it, it will change. It will get easier and feel simple. So just simply acknowledging that underneath all this physical body that we are all living within, we all come from the same source. We all come from love. We are all a soul. We are all a spirit, trying to live the best we can through this physicality. And there are reasons why people do things. There are reasons why. One of the things that helps me to understand is this, I love this saying, hurt people hurt people. So these people that do these horrendous things, they wouldn't be happy people. They wouldn't be people that are living in joy and harmony and flow and all of that kind of stuff. They'd be people living in anger, resentment, like hurt, pain, suffering, living in past stuff that has happened to them, just horrendous stuff that has affected their mind, their body, their spirit, everything. So understanding that, and then having understood that, and also if you could bring yourself to do this, one of the things I love to do is, the namaste. Namaste actually means the divine in me honours the divine in you. And we could preface this by saying this life is not easy, it is very difficult, but I know we all come from the same source. And the divine in me honours the divine in you. And that way we're not coming from the physical stuff, we're coming from the divinity within us. And from that perspective, we could perhaps radiate love from our heart to that person. And if we do that as many times as it takes for us, I mean, it may just take once, I don't know, depends how deep that you can go with that, but or however many times it takes. And you may find that each time that you do that, the charge that I was speaking about before, when you think about the situation or the person or the event, is less and less and less. The more you do it, it becomes less and less. And so, again, to reiterate why it's important to think about this, why it's important to do this process, why it's important to be curious about the forgiveness process and what it means and all of that, because if we don't, and I'll be pretty certain that every one of us has something that we need to let go of, that we need to forgive, and not forgetting ourselves in this equation. It could be something that we have done, either to ourselves or to someone else, that we still have a high charge, that that it's with us all the time, and the energy of that is the anger, the bitterness, the hurt, the frustration, whatever it is of that is with us constantly, and we can't shake it, and every time we talk about it we get all wound up about it again. So we don't forget ourselves in this process. And if that is the case, that we're doing it for ourselves, then we see our own self in front of us in that meditation process. We see our own self in front of us, and we do the same thing. being in a state of openness of the heart, heart expansion, in a state of love, a state of compassion, and in a willingness to be merciful, and we can namaste to ourselves. The divine in me honours the divine in you, because the who I am now is not who I was before, because we're constantly changing. As I always say in my videos, we are constantly changing day to day. We are constantly having new experiences, and that changes us. So the divine in me honours the divine in you, and from that perspective, then radiating that love. And again, to reiterate, the importance is that if we don't do something like that, if we don't release ourselves from that toxic charge, it's energetic, it's physical, it's on every level, then everything we do in our life and everybody we come across in our life is affected by that. So no matter how much good we do, we're still, the good still has effect, but it is flavoured by that underlying. And I don't believe that we can be truly our heart-centered self while we are holding on to all of those things, because all of those things are not of love. They are of fear. And they don't serve us going forward. So, namaste to everyone. The divine in me honours the divine in all of you. I hope that this has been helpful, and if you know someone who you think might benefit from hearing this, please like and share the video, because the more of us that can be open to this sort of thing and this way of thinking, the more it's going to be helpful for all of us individually and collectively. So, as always, let's love ourselves enough to do this. Ciao for now, and much love.